Speaking of freak athletes, Caitlin Clark effect has now hit the WNBA. It has been announced today.
But the best basketball of the weekend, the best player in America, the best shooter in America, Caitlin Clark.
Did you catch the WNBA playoffs without Caitlin Clark? Chances are you probably didn't. And you're not the only one. Not many people did.
Now she's out of the playoffs.
The viewership took a serious hit, plummeting from 1.8 million all the way down to just 161,000.
Really intrigued because there's a league with players that feel like they should be getting the attention. Now they have center stage, but the ratings are going to go down. How far, though? That's the key.
That's not just a minor decline, it's a complete crash. Next voice. People are questioning whether the WNBA is facing significant challenges without its newest star player.
Before, the argument was the league is much more than this one girl that came into the league,
right,
and we've established it. And hey, look at the numbers everywhere else across women's basketball. It's not just Caitlin Clark; it's all of us. And then the moment the ratings tank, they're going to come back and say, "See, we were right all along. It's all the racists that follow Caitlin Clark that were watching the product, and now they're gone, and we're back with our diehards." And that's the ratings that you're seeing. Actual W fans, not WNBA, actual W fans.
Let's take a moment to talk about Clark. She didn't just join the league, she completely revolutionized it. Next voice. The Indiana Fever transformed from being overlooked to genuine playoff contenders, and it's all thanks to her influence.
But is that going to be a headline when they dip when she's not playing? And now they have to go through the postseason. They're going head-to-head with the NFL. We pointed that out yesterday, which isn't smart.
Can you imagine going from being virtually unknown to a star in such a brief period? Next voice. But here's the concerning issue. Without Clark, the WNBA could be facing empty arenas and disappointing television ratings. It feels like the excitement has faded and everyone has left the party, raising the question of whether the league is leaning too heavily on one player. What if that reliance backfires? Stick around as we delve into why this matters for women's basketball. Remember when the Indiana Fever was just another name in the league? Now, they're in the playoff race, and it's all thanks to her. Caitlin Clark isn't just making waves for her team. She's reshaped the entire WNBA landscape. The stats tell an eye-opening story that you might not expect. Let's take a closer look at Clark's rookie year. We're not just talking about impressive numbers. These are figures that catch the attention of basketball historians. In her playoff debut, she made history as the first rookie in WNBA history to score at least 25 points, grab 5 rebounds, and dish out 5 assists. That's not just about breaking records, it's about setting new benchmarks for excellence, and it gets even more remarkable as the playoff series unfolds. Clark averaged 18 points, 5 rebounds, 8 assists, 2 steals, and 1 block per game. You know who else has put up numbers like that in the playoffs? No one. Absolutely no player in WNBA history has matched this level of performance.
Numbers are going to be up year to year because Caitlin Clark wasn't in the WNBA last year. So ESPN is going to spin this as a positive that their playoffs will be much higher rated than they were a year ago, even the playoffs without Caitlin Clark.
Yes.
But because they were so low, that really isn't telling you the whole story.
We're talking about entering Michael Jordan territory here, folks. You might be thinking, sure, those stats are impressive, but what does it mean for the league? Let me clarify. Before Clark arrived, the Indiana Fever was essentially off the map. Now they're a team you can't overlook. Clark didn't just enhance their performance, she transformed them into serious contenders in no time. But her impact goes beyond just the games. Clark's influence extends far beyond the court. We're witnessing record numbers of fans tuning in to watch WNBA games. And guess who they're eager to see?
Now that Indiana is out and Caitlin Clark is out. So it's not a good thing for the WNBA. Ratings will go way down, but ratings will remain up as opposed to a year ago without Caitlin Clark in the league at all. So the WNBA is still going to be able to sell to everyone that it's an improving product, and I think that's probably true.
That's right. Caitlin Clark. She's no longer just another player. She's become the face of women's basketball. Think about it. When was the last time a WNBA player sparked this level of excitement? Clark is drawing in not only die-hard basketball fans, but also those who have never tuned into women's games before. She's making the WNBA more relevant than ever. However, here's where things get tricky. Clark has skyrocketed to stardom so quickly that it feels like the entire league is relying on her.
And you do that by suspending someone who does that, especially after what she put online in regards to Caitlin Clark. You can't allow that to happen. And then I didn't know what happened. I didn't even know that I hit her.
Right.
Afterward, you're a high level athlete.
I didn't know that happened.
You know when you you put your finger through someone's eye. I personally like this because this is a comparison point I understand. Oh, Magic Johnson was great. He could do everything. Caitlin Clark just had a playoff series like Magic Johnson did way back in his rookie year. We can all understand that, right?
Yep.
But when did we start combining WNBA with NBA history? That's the first time I've ever seen a NBA/WNBA graphic. I know they're owned by the same people.
We did it, though.
But I've never seen it combined this way.
We did it whenever she became the all-time leading scorer in basketball.
This raises a vital question. Is this truly a healthy situation for the WNBA? You know the saying, don't put all your eggs in one basket. Well, the WNBA may be learning that lesson the hard way now that Caitlin Clark is out of the playoffs. The league is facing a wake-up call that has everyone questioning the future. Did they just let a major opportunity slip away? This issue goes far beyond simply losing a star player.
Obviously, it's always important to give credit where it's due, and I think we all realize where the credit needs to be given as far as the success of this WNBA season. Caitlin Clark came in and made such an impact on how many people started to care about the WNBA. This was the highest viewed season in the history. The numbers were stellar. Caitlin Clark drew a whole new fan base into it. And now the question is, because she has been eliminated, she and the Indiana Fever are eliminated after losing 2 games to the Connecticut Sun. What is the rest of the season going to look like ratings-wise for the WNBA? Are people still going to care? That is the question on everybody's mind, because when you look at the numbers with Caitlin Clark there, her first playoff game drawing 1.84 million viewers, ridiculous numbers. The highest rated playoff game since game 2 of the 2000 WNBA finals. This wasn't even just an opening round game back in 2000. This was one of the finals games. So this clearly is showing how much of an impact Caitlin Clark is having.
Let's take a closer look at the numbers. Remember how packed the arenas were when Clark was in top form? That's not happening anymore. Now we're witnessing playoff games that barely fill half the seats. Can you picture walking into an arena that should be buzzing with energy, only to find it feels nearly empty? That's the harsh new reality for the WNBA. But it gets even worse. The league isn't just losing fans in the stands, they're also losing substantial revenue. And I'm not talking about pocket change here. The NBA contributes $200 million annually to support the WNBA, while it rakes in over $7 billion from TV contracts alone.
Remember, Caitlin Clark was drafted first, which means last year they were the worst team in the WNBA. It did not matter because this season they were the most watched team in the league. An average of viewership, 1.1 million viewers each game in the regular season. Other games, listen to this, paled in comparison, drawing just about 394,000 viewers on average per game. So 1.19 million versus 394,000 for the rest of the WNBA team.
That's not just a minor discrepancy, it's a huge chasm. You might be wondering if they have a plan to turn things around. Well, buckle up because this is about to get intriguing. The WNBA's marketing strategy, or lack of one, is baffling. Believe it or not, they haven't released a single commercial featuring Caitlin Clark. It's as if they have a treasure but have chosen to keep it hidden. And it's not just about Clark. The league's entire approach to promoting its players is under scrutiny. One analyst bluntly stated that without Caitlin Clark, the WNBA is nothing more than a polished turd.
Format playoff. Because, like we just saw, I think a lot of people were unaware. I actually am going to be honest, I was unaware. I had no idea how the WNBA playoff format was laid out up until this season because I never watched. Most of her fans who were probably dying to see her play at home because that definitely could have shifted the dynamic. As we know, we've seen it happen all the time in the playoffs, right? Playoffs teams go on the road, don't do as well, come back to their home court. Totally different team, totally different look.
As soon as Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever were eliminated, Alyssa Thomas, Connecticut's best player, or Connecticut's most hyped player, went to the podium and started complaining about Caitlin Clark fans.
I think in my 11-year career, I've never experienced the racial comments from the Indiana Fever fan base.
Alyssa Thomas has just been suspended after a disturbing racist attack on Caitlin Clark, and her reaction has been nothing but a disaster. After flopping in the playoffs against the Minnesota Lynx, It seems the pressure was too much for her, but instead of taking accountability in her post-game interview, she pulled the racism card out of nowhere, accusing Clark's fans of being racist. If you're watching this, you're likely a Caitlin Clark supporter, and according to Alyssa, that apparently makes you a racist too. Well, thanks for clearing that up, Alyssa.
We all know what this really is. It's an attack on Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark's the wrong face for this league because her fans are so racist.
It's wild how someone can completely ignore Clark's incredible stats and claim it's all about her skin color. Honestly, a suspension seems well deserved in this case. But do you know what Alyssa actually said that landed her in hot water? Why is everyone turning against her now? And is there any shot she'll be forgiven by the league? Let's break it all down real quick.
And there's no place for it. And we've been professional throughout the whole entire thing, but I've never been called the things that I've been called on social media, and there's no place for it.
The Connecticut Sun just got knocked out of the playoffs in the most embarrassing way, courtesy of a brutal beatdown by the Minnesota Lynx in Game 2. After a rough game, Alyssa walked into the post-game interview looking like she was about to lose it.
We come to play basketball for our job and it's fun, but we don't want to go to work every day and have social media blown up over things like that. It's uncalled for, and something needs to be done, whether it's, them checking their fans or this league checking. There's no time for it anymore.
As soon as a reporter had the nerve to bring up her poor performance, it was like a switch flipped. Instead of talking about her disappearing act in the playoffs, she went straight on the offensive, calling out Caitlin Clark's entire fan base for being racist. She didn't just mention a few trolls or talk about dealing with online hate. Nope, she took it further, claiming that Clark's supporters are all racists who are messing with the mental health of black players.
Instagram and Twitter, these are choices we make. There's an easy way. The league doesn't have to get involved. The Indiana Fever don't have to do something to get you away from social media. Put your phone down. Don't download the apps. Don't engage.
It's like she'd been holding on to this idea, just waiting for the perfect moment to drop it.